Hello all, welcome to Project Virtual Conference 2018. Today we have Jenny presenting us on Let It Flow, Bring Automation into Your Projects. If you have any questions, you can use the chat box here to post your questions, which would be addressed at the end of the session. Okay, without any further delay, I will just hand over this session to Jenny. Jenny, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Uma. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Let It Flow. I promise the one thing I will not do today is sing anything from Frozen, even though that's what I'm sure this is taken from. We're going to walk through Microsoft Flow and specifically how it pertains to Project Online and how it can be used to automate some functionality in Project, particularly considering receiving email alerts, and as we're going to go as far as creating some planner tasks based on tasks created in Microsoft project files. So we'll go through the slide presentation, but then the majority of the presentation today in the session will be an actual demo where we'll go through using Microsoft Flow. I will show you some of the flows that I have created, and we'll walk through creating at least one together. And I'll show you some tips and tricks and some little caveats that I have encountered as well. So we want to, of course, thank all of our sponsors for the ability to have this virtual conference. I hope everyone has enjoyed the session so far. I'm looking forward to attending a few myself, although I haven't gotten the chance to yet. But I always like learning from others and working with people exactly in the same boat that I am. So thank you so much for joining today. My team at PPM Works has a few sessions. My colleagues Jacques Coupil and Scott Clausen have run other sessions as well. Jacques has already run 2, and then Scott has another one coming up at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 2 hours from now, on KPI reporting in Project Online. That's a really good session. I've seen it once before. You can find other webinars that we have at our website, ppmworks.com, as well as upcoming events. So as discussed, our agenda today will be to gain a better understanding of Microsoft Flow and specifically how it works with Project Online. We're going to go through and use Project Flow, but we're also going to use Project Pro, Project Professional, and Planner. And then we'll end with a question and answer session. I think Uma will keep me honest on this, that if you have questions, you can ask them in the chat as well, and then we'll get to them at the end of the session.
That's correct, yeah.
Thank you. So overall, Microsoft Flow helps you to work smarter by automating workflow across your apps and services. When I first learned about Flow from a business perspective, it reminded me of an app that I have on my phone that I consider kind of just a fun app called If This Then That. So if something happens, then something else can happen as a result. So something I use that app for, that actually I'm considering switching to Microsoft Flow now because I found a template for it, is to have an email an alert sent to my phone every morning that just tells me what the weather forecast is. If any of you live in New England, you know that in June it could be 40 degrees one day and 70 degrees the next day. So that's why I like to get the weather report on my phone so I know what I should be wearing. So that's exactly what Microsoft Flow does. It helps make what you're trying to do every day much simpler. So not only does it work with simple scenarios, but it allows you to include multiple steps, branching conditions, so that if a particular criteria is met or condition is met, then you can base your actions, as they're referred to, on those items. It works across the business application platform. So something that I think personally is great for it is, although I have a little bit of coding experience, I'm by no means a coder. So it allows you to really integrate and write in code without actually having to do it. So it's kind of a really good user interface. Lets you build these modern business apps very quickly without needing to know anything about coding. It helps lines of business. You know, you probably have executives coming to you all the time saying, you know what we need is we need something that does this automatically. And a lot of times the response would be back, well, we need a team of developers to work on creating that, and it's going to take us 6 months to a year to get that done, and we don't have the budget to do it. Well, Microsoft Flow in many ways can fill that gap. It enables developers to extend. So if you have a little bit more development experience, you can go even farther with this than just the standard power user. And finally, it lets you connect to data across the apps and platforms. So you can use the common data service available with Office 365, and it integrates many different applications, as we'll see when we get into the templates and connections. So these are all our fancy slides on actually what Flow is and why it's great and why it works. But really, why do you want to use it? Overall, you're going to save time. I've come up with a couple of scenarios just in the last few days when I was preparing for this webinar in terms of what would be a real world scenario in which this might help my organization to get things done more quickly. It's secure. It lets you connect to either on-premise data or cloud-based data in your Office 365 environment. And so you can make use of that data, all thanks to your Office 365 credentials. It allows you to make those conditional decisions like we talked about. So if this, then that, based on particular criteria, like running an action only when that criteria is met. And finally, this is just the nerd in me talking, but I think it's really fun. I'm somebody who's kind of resistant to switching over to the newfangled apps, and I definitely felt that way when I first started to use Flow. But now that I've really got a good handle on it and I understand the nuances of it, I really enjoy making things, and I really enjoy how often I get to hear something that's described to me where I think, oh, you know, I bet that Flow could do that. I bet that Flow would fill that gap. So I think that you're going to experience that too once you see how easy it is. Now, what's another thing that's great, I don't know how many of you are familiar with Power BI, but that's one of my areas of expertise. And the thing that I love about Power BI is that every month new things are added. There are new visualizations added. The Power BI community is very strong, and there's lots of voting on things that are needed. The same thing works for Flow and all of the apps across Office 365. And so you have the ability to input and to provide comments and feedback so that they learn what's really needed by the community next. To give an example, my colleague Scott did a presentation on Flow less than a month ago. And from the time that he did his presentation to now, there are 3 more templates that are available in Project Online. So that's just 3 more templates in less than a month. So the community and the business leaders are really hearing the need for these connectors and these triggers and these actions to be available in Microsoft Flow. And so you're going to see, I think, big changes for that. And we're going to actually go through some examples of some shortcomings that hopefully will be made available soon, but we'll have some workarounds for those for the time being. So specifically, what can you use it for? We're going to go through some examples today where we're going to send emails when projects are created or published. So we're going to do a flow for a new project create. That might be great for a PMO or for a team lead or admins to keep track of the new project frequency, to keep an eye. If you had an on-prem environment, you could keep an eye on if you're maybe getting to capacity or best practice on your database, you know. You could send emails to team leads if a certain project type is created. So that fits into that criteria that we talked about, where we can have if-then statements, where if this kind of project type is created, send an alert to this person or to this distro, okay? Another good way for maybe a team lead or a manager to be monitoring their PMs to ensure that they're publishing projects when they should and updating projects. Finally, we're going to create planner tasks for tasks and project files. Now, as you may know, Planner does integrate with Project already, but the way that the Planner integration from the Project Professional ribbon works now is it just simply will create an entire plan based on one task in a project. We don't want anything that elaborate. We just want one simple project task, one Planner task to be created in Planner, so that you can put it in the to-do bucket. It can be assigned to someone, and then that way, if someone, for instance, doesn't have access to Project Online, doesn't have a license, you could just kind of be delegating tasks to different teams who don't necessarily need to be in Project Online all the time, but do have tasks to do that pertain to those projects. That's kind of a good little sidebar that we can talk about, and you can see how you can make good use and kind of work around some loopholes. So now we're going to get to the demo. So the first thing we're going to do when we go to Microsoft Flow, it's flow.microsoft.com is the address that we go to. And you'll see that because I'm in the US, it's going to auto add my location here. So that's why that URL is different. But this is what you're going to see when you first get there. So as you can see, it already has popular services available, all 230 of them. These are the popular ones, kind of in order. I guess SharePoint and Office 365 are the most common. People perhaps want to auto-save documents to OneDrive. I guess in this day and age, people want to be using Twitter, tweeting, and getting their alerts up there. Maybe when they do their work, they send a tweet to let their boss know. They might be saving files to Dropbox, sending emails with Outlook, and so forth, posting to Yammer on their own SharePoint site. Lots of options there. Within the Flow website itself, you will find myriad resources to use. And I can tell you I've used all of them, and they're great. So if we go to the Learn section here, and we go to Documentation, this is the Microsoft Docs information I referred to earlier, where the community is great. You can see it starts you out assuming you know nothing. So you're on the I'm a beginner tab, but then you can advance if you're intermediate. I'm an expert, I'm an admin. It will walk you through all of these learning guides. These are the best learning guides you'll find. There's nothing that you want to do that you can't either find the solution here or learn that it's not yet available. And then you get the opportunity to vote and to say that you'd like that to become available. You can learn more about the templates that are available. That will bring us back to the Flow environment. That will bring us to all of the templates. You can also go to the connectors.
Hello, Jenny. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we are unable to see your screen.
Oh, did the share stop?
Yeah, I think it just says today's demo gets started, flow.microsoft.com.
Let's try again.
Yep, we can see now.
Okay, great. Did you lose much? Should I go back a bit?
Yeah, we just lost like 3 minutes.
Oh, geez. Okay, so probably just when I first went into Flow.
Yes.
All right, no problem. No problem. I'll keep an eye on it because I guess the bar will disappear. So I'll just keep an eye on that. But feel free to throw something at me, Uma, if it happens again.
Sure, sounds good. Yeah.
All right. So we'll go back to Flow then. I was just kind of navigating around the page that this is what you see when you go to the home page. You'll have the popular services available at the bottom. You'll have more information here on different templates, different kinds of templates you can categorize here: email, productivity, notifications. Learn is going to be, this is what I was really interested in you seeing. So documentation is where all of these training sessions are going to be. So you can go from a beginner to an admin. You can pick what area you fit in. You can learn more about the templates. You can learn about the connectors, or you can just go through and view all of the documents that are available. Okay. So if we go to templates here, this is going to bring us back to the Flow environment. And this is where we'll see every possible template that's made. So we're going to look for Project Online. And this will bring us to all of the possible ready-made templates for Project Online, okay? Now, I'm not going to lie to you. When I first looked at this, I thought, I don't think this is many. I wish that there had been more of them. That being said, once I started to use it, I realized I didn't want to use a template at all. I just wanted to simply create the flow myself because it was quite literally that simple to do, okay? But the thing that's good with these is that if you go into the template and you create a new one, continue. Then what you have is a very good learning tool so that you can see what the structure of a flow would look like, okay? So when a new project is created, root site URL, you're going to put in your PWA environment. You're going to specify to whom the email should be sent and what the body of the email should be, okay? Although I didn't use a template for this, we can very easily use one. So I'm going to copy my PWA demo environment here. We're going to put that here, okay? We're going to specify that the email address should be me, and it will find me because I'm connected to Office 365, so it's going to find anyone in my environment, okay? And then this is the body of the email, okay? Now, on the right, you see that this has automatically appeared. This is because the connector to Project Online is already in this template because it was a Project Online flow template. So these are the fields that are available to you to put into the project. So what you might want to do instead is say a new project was created by project owner on created, period. And that's it. Those will dynamically appear in the project, okay? Now, this auto name here is not always the greatest name. So we're going to call it new project email alert, okay? And we're going to save it. And that's it, it's saved. Now we can test it. So we're going to go through and test it. And now see, there's nothing there, it hasn't yet run. So there are no things that we can use for testing in the past. However, the beauty of that is that say you create this, you send it once, and then you go and you perform the action, you create a project in this environment, and then you come here to test it and you think, oh, you know what, I really wanted to reword that email. I didn't really like the way that worked. What this allows you to do is, without performing the trigger action, that is to say, without having to go back, creating a whole other project, you can just use a previous run of the flow to retest what the new email would look like. That would be particularly important if you had, say, images in the email that you wanted to make sure were lining up properly. They might not look just right in this tiny box here. Or if maybe you weren't sure that you wanted to have these fields in here. I'm going to show you an example of that now, okay? So I'm going to perform the trigger action. I'm now going to go to my project environment, and I'm going to go to projects. I'm already in the project center here, and I'm going to create a new project. I'm just going to do a basic project. And we're going to wait, because that's what we do with project. And I'm just going to put Z's at the beginning of the name so that I can sort them easily when I have to clean it up later. So I'm going to click Finish here. I don't need, for the purposes of this demo, neither of these are required. This will auto-complete with my name, obviously, for owner. And then that will bring me to the project information page. So now we can go back to create the flow. So now I probably should have clicked, let me do one more because I should have clicked save and test first. So lesson learned there, save and test first. Now it's waiting for me to create the project. So I'll do a new one really quick. And we'll finish. And we can go back here. So now you can see it's thinking because neither save nor test are illuminated here. So once that finishes, we should see the result. Okay, and we see it succeeded, okay? So we can go here to your flow ran successfully, and you can expand this so that you can learn a little bit more about exactly what happened here. Now, I think this is really good from a development and from a learning perspective because you're seeing really what data is passing here. You're able to expand each of these, learn a little bit more, and then what you can do is you can go back to My Flows. You'll see that it's here. This is the brand new one we did 1 minute ago. It's auto-enabled, okay? So we can turn that one off now. But now, most importantly, what's happened, you can see my calendar there, but I've gotten new projects, okay? Now, I have several flows running at once, so this is why you see 3 of them here, but you'll get one alert that shows you that the project was created. So in my case, I had it sent to me, but you could have it sent to a distro, like a PMO team or a group of people who need to be alerted, admins maybe, who are experiencing problems in the queue when new projects are created, so they could see the exact time that a project was created, okay? So now what we can do is we can look, we've already looked at what it looks like when you just receive an email, okay? But then you might want to set a condition. So say you want to create a flow that will only send an alert if a product development project is created, okay? So let's look at what this configuration would be like, okay? So here we've got project ID in here, okay? In our case, a product development project begins with PD, okay? That's what we've set in the enterprise project type as the prefix for our projects, okay? So we're going to set that to PD. We are going to have it send an email, okay? Now, this is the condition that we've set here, okay? So when I've gone to this and went to go and insert something here, I've added a condition. Okay, so the first thing I've done is I put in when a new project is created for the trigger. Triggers usually begin with when something happens. And then we'll add the condition, and that will allow us to say with if the project ID, you can choose many, it could be contains, does not contain, I'm using starts with, PD. I'm going to have the alert again sent to me. The subject will be the project name was created by project owner, which in my case again will be me. And then I'm going to have an email sent with stop the presses, a new PD project was created. Okay, so now I want to go back and I want to look at the history of this. Okay, it'll warn you every time you go to try to change that. And here's what I noticed. Okay, so I got many succeed histories on this particular alert, but I never got emails. And I'm not going to lie, I spent a good 45 minutes the other day trying to figure out what was going on with this. Why was it succeeding, yet nothing was happening? So I went to the run history. And then again, I was able to go and see exactly what happened. It says, okay, it ran successfully. I knew for a fact that I had created a project with PD in it because I could see it here. I verified that the project name had PD in the title, had in the project ID rather. I verified that it was a product development project and that had auto-completed to have PD as the prefix, okay? Yet it was turning back a result of false. So I was like, why is it giving me a result of false? That doesn't make any sense. So I expanded this, which it won't let me do now. There we go. So it showed me that based on this criteria, which above showed all of this information, and right at the very top of the list, I could see what was wrong. Although it let me select project ID, which is in fact this field, it is using the built-in UID field, this. So it's never meeting my criteria of beginning with PD, okay? So it's not actually using the field that you think it's using. Now I bring this up not as a negative, but as a positive, because I'm hoping to save you the time that it took me, because my workaround required me to do another similar modification, okay? So when I went back to my flow, I said, okay, it's not going to work with the project ID because it's going to use the actual built-in unique ID identifier in the database. So I can't use that PD prefix. Not yet, anyway. Maybe they'll get their act together and that will become available because other people will experience that too. But instead, I modified it and I created another new one here. And instead, what I used was the enterprise project name, okay? So if we go through this, see this project name here? Okay, that's the field I selected. Again, it failed. So now this time I selected exactly product development, which was what my enterprise project name type, my project type, this is what I meant to select, my project type was, okay? I got the same result. It was coming back with, it wasn't found. The value was false. So then what I did was I did the same thing and I analyzed it. And when I did, I realized that the result was, let's go back to the history. It's going to warn me again not to lose that. I'm going to do this. I'm going to expand this. And I'm going to show you here. I went looking for project type, which is what the code showed. It did not show the full name of enterprise project type name, okay? I verified here, it's returning the result product development. So it will test positive for that if it gets that value. But it was that it wasn't looking for this, it was looking for simply project type name. So if we go back here and we edit this flow and we change this back to project type, see what happens? It goes to project type. And then if I advance this in advanced mode, this is what I had to do. I had to manually change that value to what the code was needing. Once I did that and saved it and turned it back on, it worked. Okay, you can see here the test failed. That one, it just didn't like it all. But there's lots of information that you can get here based on this run history. Lots of valuable information that you can learn from. So I highly encourage you. My MO when I'm learning is click wildly on everything on the page because you'll find exactly what you need. And if you can't find it, Bing can help you find it, or these Microsoft Docs can help you find it. Myriad resources available to you to be able to get the information that you need and the answers that you need. And, you know, definitely not as a last resort, don't hesitate to email us at PPM Works for assistance because we love solving puzzles. That's like at least my favorite thing to do. So feel free to reach out to me. Okay, so let's shift to the planner tasks, okay? We've got a planner task flow here. Now, the scenario I use for this, that I think probably is the strongest, and maybe some of you can even shed some light on some other scenarios where this might be helpful, is, you know, not everyone is in Project Online every day. You know, tends to be a tool that resource managers and project managers use all the time, but, you know, maybe a tech in the field wouldn't be using Project Online all the time. Maybe an HR department that has to be doing stuff that is required for a project, or finance department, the same thing. They're definitely contributing to projects, but they're not really getting into the project schedule. They're not getting into assigning tasks and completing tasks in the Project Online environment. So a good way for a PM to control their projects and kind of be able to delegate tasks might be to make use of Planner, kind of a lightweight task program available in the Office 365 environment. So I've got Planner here. You can see I've customized it. I love strawberries, so they're my heading there. You can see I have a couple of tasks here in my Flow demonstration environment. We also have a sales support environment here where there's a bunch of tasks, but these are different these are actual plans that can contain many different tasks, okay? So what happens in Microsoft Project when you're using Project is that there is an integration with Planner right here. But what happens is this will let you link an existing task to an entire plan. So that's a little bit more than we need to do today, okay? What we really want to do is we just want to link one task in Project to one task in Planner so that we can assign it to someone, have them handle it there, and then get back to us and let us know when it's done, and then we can mark it complete here, okay? Then they don't need a project license. They don't need to know from Project Online. They don't need to worry about it at all, okay? I'm gesturing wildly with my hands, but I know you can't see that. So what we're going to do first is we're going to look at what that flow looks like, okay? So we're going to edit it. And you can see here, same kind of action that my trigger here, my when statement, when something happens, do this. So in this case, it's when a new task is created. And then I've added a condition when the task name contains, and I'm going to use just Planner in square brackets. Okay, so that's a good quick way if you want to go and keep track of which ones you've doled out in Planner to other people or to a different team. Like perhaps you have somebody who's just handling Planner for you and is assigning those tasks. It's a really quick way. You could set up a filter in Project Pro so that you could see all those tasks very quickly. If you really wanted to get fancy, you could set up a custom field that had if it was a Planner task. And it may even get to the point where Flow will be able to read custom fields. We're not to that point yet. Still just built-in fields here. Okay, so that's why we're using when the task name contains a particular value. Okay, so then once that criteria is met, okay, we're going to create the task. The plan ID that we have here is Flow demonstration. You can see here, if I have on this select ones, the only ones that I have available here to me are sales support, the other one that I showed you, and Flow demonstration, okay? We're going to set the title of the task to the same task name that we had in Project, okay? Now, if you wanted to get fancy, I'm sure that there's a code way that you could remove that bracket Planner from the end of the task before it gets to Planner, but we're not going to get that advanced today. I'd bet money on the fact that that's doable. I have not done it myself, but I feel confident that that would be something that you could code, okay? The bucket ID that we have is this to-do bucket. We could add a new bucket if we wanted to. If you needed to categorize things, you could do that, all right? And then we're going to leave date time out of here. These, I'm not going to lie, still very buggy, and the dates come through in this really not so friendly date format, okay? Furthermore, still on the to-do list for them, you should be able to assign the Planner task to whomever is the assigned resource in the project. That is not yet available. There have been many votes on that. I would encourage you to vote on that if you think it's something that you could make use of, okay? Because then you could still monitor who the assigned resource is in your project, and then Planner could automatically assign it to them and they could get alerts via Planner, okay? So finally, we don't need anything. I didn't mention this before, but if there's no else clause, like if you're going to create a task, if it contains Planner, you know, if it didn't contain Planner, then you could have it do something else if you needed it to. That doesn't really apply to us, so we're not going to worry about that, okay? So now we're going to go back. We're going to ignore the warnings about leaving the page because I don't want to change any settings on it. Okay. I'm now going to turn this flow on. Okay. So now I'm going to go back to project. I am going to insert a task here. Okay. So we've got submit shop drawings. This is a built-in construction template that is in project. All right. So, well, if we're going to have to submit the shop drawings, then we're going to have to create the shop drawings. Okay. And so then I want this to be pushed over to Planner. So I'm going to add a Planner tag there. Okay. That easy. We won't worry about the schedule or anything now. It auto scheduled luckily. And then we're going to publish the project. Okay. Now while that's publishing, we'll go back here. We can refresh this page. Sometimes it's super quick and you see the success right away in run history, 47 seconds ago. Okay, so now let's go to Flow and we're going to refresh this. Again, Planner rather. Sometimes this takes a few minutes. But what will happen, there it is, Create Shop Drawings has appeared. Okay, so now there's a task. There's a Planner task here waiting for me. Okay, I hope you're all cheering because I thought that this was pretty freaking great when I first saw it. So the shortcoming that I mentioned about not being able to assign it to a resource, okay, I can assign it, let's see, oh, there it was, assign. I can assign it here to myself. I can assign it to my best friend here, Cindy, who loves it when I send her random alerts. Okay, and so this is now assigned to 2 people, so that's good too. We can close that, and there it is assigned to the 2 of us, okay? So she'll get an alert if she didn't already, and I'll get an alert if I have Planner configured as such. But maybe what you want to do is you always know, like you have a team lead or something, someone who's responsible for assigning those Planner tasks. And so what you can do is you can manually assign someone, even though that functionality is not available yet in Flow. You can change this here. We've got 2 different ways to do this, okay? I've inserted a Get User Profile here with another connector. And with an Office 365 User Profile connector, I'm able to add Cindy's email here so that then I can have that as an available selector here, just like I have all of the Project Online selectors as well, okay? So that allows me to use this. It puts this variable into the code so that then I can select that variable here below. If you want to be really simple, you can delete this and you can manually say Cindy Moore and assign it to her, okay? And then if this one, as you can see, I have named Planner assigned, okay? So I'm going to save this. And now this is what I need to add. I've intentionally distinguished these. When I was testing, I needed to keep track of which one was working and which one wasn't. So I made this one a little bit distinct, okay? I encourage you to use that kind of methodology when you're testing your code because it will help keep you sane. Like even if you put silly words in here, that would help you, okay? So we're going to go back to the project now. We're going to add another one for shop drawings. We're going to insert a task. And then we're going to call it, I'm going to add the Planner assigned tag here, okay? And then again, we're going to republish the file. And then we're going to go back here. It's okay to leave that page. We're going to refresh again and wait, see how long it takes. Sometimes it takes a moment to publish. Let's see if we get there. Okay, that's the one I've manually assigned. It hasn't gotten here yet. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer. Don't let that concern you, because I've seen it take sometimes up to 15 minutes to complete. It depends on the queue. You know, if there are many things in front of me in the queue, that could be delaying it. Don't let that dissuade you, okay? I can verify that this one did work because, as Cindy will attest, she got many manually assigned tasks earlier today, okay? So let's move on. I want to go back here. Okay, so now we have many different flows that we've created. Okay, you can see there's my flows, there's team flows. We don't have any in here yet, but if you save and share the flow with others for use in your environment, that's where they would appear. You can import ones that others share with you in the same way that you could import an Excel file or a PBIX file. You can create from blank as we did, or create from the template. Again, these are the best areas for learning. Okay, so you're going to be able to give feedback here, vote on things that you think you need. One thing I wanted to point out here is pricing and maybe some licensing questions. Everything that I've done today, I've done with a free license. Okay, I can't even tell you what license that we have, but I know that I didn't use any premium connectors. Okay, that's the main difference here. You see, I'd get 2,000 runs per month. Now, maybe admittedly, I've broached that because I've been testing incessantly for the past few days. I'm kidding. I don't think I've really even come close to that. But for a larger organization, there might need to be more than 2,000 runs, 2,000 flows run per month, okay? So flow plan 1 would increase that to 4,500. And then it would be checking the flows every 3 minutes. See, this might explain the delay to 5-minute checks here. So if I didn't catch it right at the right cycle, it would take up to 5 minutes for that to complete, in addition to waiting for a queue job to complete. And then it does include premium connectors, okay? So if we go to the connectors list here, you can see that many of these are designated as premium, okay? Like Pitney Bowes has their own app. Salesforce has connectors. So it can integrate with other software that you may have in your environment. There's lots and lots of choices here. I mean, we're only on the G's now, okay? Lots to choose from, okay? And so if we go back to the pricing here, you'll see the final choice here is the $15 per user per month. That would be 15,000 runs per month, checking every minute with premium connections, and also org policy settings that would allow you a bit more control, as well as business process flows. So that would be more intricate flows that become available, as well as being able to use global policies to control those flows. Okay, so again, the flow homepage is where it will bring you to everything that you ever wanted to know. My flows is where all of yours will be listed. I can tell you, much to my chagrin, they do not sort for you. I thought I was being all clever and numbering them, but then it will automatically sort by last modified descending. Okay, you can turn them off or on here. You can edit them here. You can invite another person to contribute. Also very helpful. This is where your templates are listed, and this is where your connectors are listed. Okay, so these are all the popular places where you can connect the app. Okay, we've got about 15 minutes left, so I think we should probably move on to the Q&A, if that's okay with you, Uma.
Yeah, sure. I don't see anyone posting any questions.
Okay, all right, no problem. I have a few more slides that I can go through, just kind of regarding PPM Works. And certainly, if you're looking for additional information, if you think of questions later, you can always email info@ppmworks.com. So we are a gold sponsor, and we're a Microsoft certified gold partner. We focus mostly on Microsoft Project, almost entirely on Project, but we do SharePoint and Office 365 work as well. In particular, now that these Office 365 apps are becoming available, we're getting excited, particularly about Flow and Planner. They're really helpful, and we see lots of business uses in the Project Online space for those apps. And so we're always excited to be able to add new demos to our environment that we can share with clients, because collectively we have experience working in many different organizations and in many different scenarios for many different verticals. And we see lots of different scenarios, and particularly with Flow, we found lots of interest in being able to automate. Everyone always wants to automate. And so we want to help with that when we can. I am a stickler for helping people, and the thing that makes me the happiest is having a happy client. So we guarantee your success, and our success is yours. So we're not happy and we're not done until you're a satisfied client reference. We have experts. Certainly there are ladies on the team who are much more adept at project than I am, but we have a really good working environment where what one person doesn't know, 3 other people on the team do know. And so the person who didn't know that answer will quickly learn it from the other team members. So I hope you all get to experience that in your work environments as well, because it sure makes for it being a pleasure to come to work every day. We have been part of the release of Microsoft Project Online and Project Server for the past 3 cycles. The owners of the company, Scott Clausen and Jacques Goupil, there isn't a thing that they don't know about Project, and that includes the good, the bad, and the ugly. So if something doesn't work in Project Online, they'll not only tell you that, but they'll tell you what you can do to solve that problem and to work around that. We've done over 250 Project Server implementations and trained thousands of students, and we've delivered dozens of presentations just like this, including at the Microsoft Project Conference and now at the Project Virtual Conference, which was my pleasure to attend. Thank you so much, Uma, for inviting us.
Thank you.
So finally, again, here's the email address, info@ppmworks.com. You can request PDUs. You can check out our upcoming events, blogs, and webcasts. Please connect with me via LinkedIn. You can find me by my name. I'm listed under, I think it's under Jennifer Neville Ward, actually, is my full name, but it's JNW Design. And also our LinkedIn profile is ppm-works-inc. And you can find our site at ppmworks.com, as well as our blog at that location as well. And that's about it, Uma.
All right, Jenny, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
All right, bye-bye.